New House Speaker Paul Ryan has a, quote, new idea. He thinks that the IRS should privatize their collection agency and let private companies enforce back taxes. Well, there are a number of problems with that policy, and we'll get to those as soon as we explain the background of where this idea comes from. So, the Roman Republic had a similar system of collecting taxes during its later years. They had just conquered some new provinces, and they had to administer them. So what they would do is they would have publicani, who are usually referred to as publicans in English, and what they would do is they would buy contracts from the Senate, and in return for paying a lump sum for the value of that contract, so you'd pay a certain value to say, get the contract to go tax farm in further Spain, and then you go there, and if you're the tax farmer, if you're the publican, what you do is you're allowed to contact the governor and his troops and go around and forcibly collect money. Now, obviously, you have to make up for the amount you spent in Rome to actually get the contract, and then you use armed force to extract profit. So that way it's actually worth your time to perform this public service. Now, clearly this was deeply abused, and we see that a lot of the revolts in the Middle and Late Republic, which took place in Spain and elsewhere, most notably the Mithridatic Wars, were caused by the abuses of publicans. In fact, locals in Asia Minor, which is modern Western Turkey, were so off-put by the actions of publicans that they actually rose up en masse, invited the foreign king Mithridates into their country, and supposedly massacred 90,000 Italians who were there for the purpose of milking the provinces in the name of Rome. So, why would we expect that Paul Ryan's plan would work out much differently? There's no reason to. What would happen is that when your debt is going to be collected, the federal government wouldn't be responsible for it. Now, the federal government obviously can be abusive and unresponsive. However, it does operate on some principle of legality, and the people who run it aren't there to make a profit. So if you contact some bureaucrat, you can possibly negotiate a payment plan if you owe back taxes. However, if you have the misfortune of meeting with some publican who comes to your place and wants payment, it is essentially the same as done with the mafia. This is a person who has absolutely no incentive for cutting you slack. They have already paid their money to get the contract. And if they don't get the full amount from you, that's money lost for them. They're running a business. They're not running a public service. It's not about keeping the government funded. What they're trying to do is make money. And guess what? You essentially are their product. They are the consumer, and you have been made into a commodity by your own government under the system. Now, in the Roman world, the only people who had to deal with publicans were non-citizens. They lived in the provinces, and they were milked by the publican system. And one of the reasons why the early emperors, such as Augustus, were deeply popular is that they actually created enough of a bureaucracy, just enough, I emphasize, to do away with not having to have public tax farmers. Or privatized tax farmers, I guess would be the technical way to phrase that. Anyhow, it's important that we understand that this is a bad policy, and it's yet another example of why Paul Ryan does not deserve his reputation as a policy wonk. He, as the meme suggests, is nothing more than your usual trickle-down Republican. The media does us all a grave disservice by promoting the false narrative that Paul Ryan has policy proposals that are new, refreshing, or in any way original. They're not. This is the same shit that a lot of pre-modern states like the Roman Republic were trying to do. It's not about trying to create a world with less poverty and greater justice. Paul Ryan's policies are about empowering the rich and weakening the poor and the middle class. Privatization itself is not cutting edge. It's pre-modern. It isn't geared towards equitable results. It's geared towards rewarding the rich. It isn't about efficiency or effectiveness. It's about expediency by the state, by letting it, by letting corporations extort the profit that they want from the masses. Anyhow, that's about all I have to say about the subject at this point. I'm Thersites of Athens, and with any luck, this proposal will not come to light. If it is, then we will all be much poorer and much worse off. Good night and good luck.